Hey everybody, welcome to Visual Communication the Media. My name is Adam Rozeski. It's a pleasure to see each and every one of you. Hope everybody's having a great week. My apologies, my voice is still kind of healing from the week. It's been kind of rough ever since I got sick this week. And pretty much. So I finished your grades on Thursday. Everything should be updated. Most of them were really good. Still some stuff with the discussions I could see improve, but other than that, it was good overall. I was pretty impressed. Now, let's get into it. So this week we were talking about semiotics and signs and symbols. I figured we'd talk about logos a little bit in detail because this will help you with your assignment this weekend and really go into context. So logos are symbols. They're really detailed visuals that represent a company or some type of product or experience. They're a visual representation of those elements. And they need to be simple and easy to understand and need to translate in size, and they need to directly correlate to the experience, much like the Target logo where it's the bullseye to find everything. The Nike logo where it's the Greek athleticism symbol for athleticism, which ties into sportwear and sporting equipment. And we have to consider the fact that these are company logos. They are used throughout all different types of countries, and they sell to different areas and cultures. So we have to consider the font style and format. Must always be considering those different cultures and the elements that kind of guide them in different ways. Now, there are different types of logos. There's actually 7 specifically. There's the abstract mark, which is a specific mark that's designed for that experience itself and kind of recognize them as its own entity, much like Pepsi's logo itself with a circle with the 3 color swashes in there. Then you have a mascot logo, which is a mascot's on the front of it, much like Ronald McDonald and McDonald's or KFC, the Colonel from Kentucky Fried Chicken. You also have combination marks. Combination marks combine 2 of the elements. For example, this one uses an abstract mark to showcase a burger with 2 semicircles to make the bun, and they use a word mark, which we'll talk about a word mark in a minute, of Burger King to make it like the meat of the patty and everything to showcase burger because they're Burger King, they make burgers. But combination marks use 2 or more of any of the other 6 and combine them into its own logo itself and how important that is. Now, emblem logos are a little different. They're a little bit more traditional. They kind of remind you of more medieval and proper organizational elements. We tend to see these a lot with like government offices or government associations. We see these with schools, traditional family elements. These are very historically built visuals and symbols. For example, the Harvard logo is a reef with the name Harvard on it and has a shield with the Latin word veritas and 3 books. Veritas means truth in Latin, and that's what Harvard's meant there, is to understand knowledge and truth in their concept. But they use a very traditional style of logo, which is an emblem. Now, NASA is a letter mark, and the difference between a letter mark is it's an acronym. Now, for example, the real definition for NASA is the National Administration of Space Association. That's NASA, but that's a big 4 words right there to make into one big logo. So they condensed it by just using the abbreviations from it and taking the first initial of every word and created NASA out of it. That's a letter mark when they just use letters to identify, or an acronym to identify the logo itself. Unlike a word mark, which is what we talked about here in a combination mark, where a word mark is just the name of the company all in itself. It's good to have smaller names for word marks. For example, Google is a good example of this because of the fact that it's just a word and it's not super long or doesn't have multiple words in it. So you can use that word as the logo itself if you use it right. And that's a word mark right there. The final logo is called a pictorial mark. This is an image that represents the product or the company in some form just by an image. No words, no nothing. For example, the black apple with a bite mark in it. That's meant to stand for Apple computers. Originally in the day, it was in the 80s and the early 90s, it was a rainbow colored apple, but then they changed it to black over time once they started releasing iPads and MacBooks and iPhones and all those areas like that, where they're trying to change their brand and their imaging. But these are 7 different types of logos and how they're used and the symbolism that's tied to them based upon it, where they use the different fonts, the different colors, and the different symbolism that represents what they are in a lot of different concepts. And each one matters. For example, the colors in Google matter in a specific area based upon where they're using it. Same thing with the burger and the combination mark and using the meat as the word mark itself. There's a lot of different aspects that go into logo and logo design based upon the product or experience. But other than that, that's all I got today. I want to give you a little heads up and help into your assignments and kind of a little introduction this weekend. So keep in mind your reply post is due tonight, by the end of the night tonight. Once it goes to Sunday, it's late. Then you also have your written assignment about logos on Sunday, at the end of the night Sunday, along with your live lecture assignment. And then I'll post for a lecture on Monday. If you have any questions, I'll post the live lecture link tomorrow. Other than that, that's all I got. I hope everybody has a great weekend. If you need anything, let me know. Other than that, be safe, have fun, enjoy, take it easy. Hope to see y'all later. Bye-bye.